Hello, everyone. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Let me see how I can add another camera to this. Go. Perfect. Okay. All right. Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me okay. Let's see. Audio. Okay, audio is fine. Video is fine. Okay. Just give me a comment or a thumbs up if you guys are able to see me and hear me well. Um, Okay, I'm getting some replies. Looks like everything is good. Sorry, I had some problem with the mic of all the things. It's usually the video which is not proper, but this time it was the audio. So apologize for a few minutes of delay. Okay, I hope everybody is having a great Sunday so far. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is call me Raj, and today I really wanted to talk about bring more of your story in your own oil painting instead of just trying to replicate a scene and trying to mimic everything that's out there. It's really important to understand what is that we are looking to convey to our audience, because that's what gets their attention, right? So it's they're not looking for a replica of any scene that's out there which they cannot see for themselves. They're looking for ideas that you can bring. That's what creative expression is all about, that you have the ability and the skill, and your perspective is unique. There is no two perspectives are similar. So even if everybody is doing the same scene, we all can bring our own perspective from our own ideas, from our own backstory, and convey it in such a way that you are able to express what exactly that the audience wants to hear. All right. So if you have got my email, um, you would have got the ref as well. It was a bit tricky for me to send it in the group because sometimes it just gets lost in the post. So I thought the best way was to share through mail. So if you're looking for the reference image while I do the demo, uh, go back to your emails, and or you can just comment after this demo is done, and I can probably share that with you. So the other thing was, yeah, so if you guys are interested in honing your own creative ability and reclaiming your own inner artist, I have a course called the Creative Leap Academy, and it's for aspiring artists trying to get that effect and the impact through their things. So if that's something that you're interested and you want to break free of endless hours of struggles and hesitation to convey what you want to convey through your art, uh, you can just hit apply in the comments or hit interested. I'll probably uh, check back with you after this demo is done. All right. Okay. So that's about it in terms of housekeeping. So do you have any questions so far? Any questions at all? Uh, Sometimes I cannot see who has commented. I can see the comments, but I can't see who has it. So you can either just comment, or you can even say your name and comment so that I know who it is and I can get back. But either way, you can just ask me questions as and when you want, and I'll try to address them as much as I can. So probably I'll have this session for like maybe an hour. I'll probably do slightly on the blocking because I really want to get this done, probably in just 2 sessions. I don't want to drag it for more. So this is a 12 by 16. It's this time I'm just doing it on a cotton canvas. So it's a 12 by 16. I have gessoed it again because it was slightly rough for what I wanted to do. So I have gessoed it once again. So it's slightly smoother now for me to work on, so which is helpful. And um, yeah, so okay, let's get on with it. And the whole idea of this demo was to understand how to express what you wish. So, so most of the time when we are uh, um, in, interacting with any scene, whether you're doing from life or from landscape or from a reference photo, it's you need to understand what are those interesting elements which excited you in the very first place. Okay, so that's key number one. You need to bring your first excitement and interest that you found when you looked at the scene. Okay, so once you begin to understand that, that's where the groundwork or the entire layout of your process starts. So you need to have that until the end of your process. What's important, what's exciting, and what it is that I want to convey. Okay, so those three are the only criteria which you should start off from. It doesn't matter what scene it is. It doesn't matter if you're doing a landscape or portrait or a still life. These three criteria are uh, universal for any subject matter. Okay, so once you have that, then you can bring your technical skills or whatever skills you have developed in terms of putting paint on canvas. But those three are the foundation for your work, because even if you remove your reference image, or if you change, or if you go back and continue doing your studio work, you have that groundwork already laid out, and after that you just have to develop your painting. Okay, so today I'll be doing the blocking. I'll also be showing how you can just proceed without drawing every object, because drawing and painting are two separate schools. So you need to really understand why it is that painting is slightly different from drawing. Okay, it's very critical. It's another topic and demo altogether. But here we are trying to understand how to bring your own brushworks into your artwork. Okay, so it's not about drawing, it's about brushwork. So, all right, so let's see. So right now, let's get the camera on. Okay, all right. Perfect. So I'm going to reduce this. Okay, much better. Okay, so this is my reference image. There we go. Okay, this is a sunset scene or a sunrise scene. I'm not sure, but the tonality is the same. So the light is coming from the left and going to the right. Okay, so I'm just going to try to get this blocked in as quickly as I can, and I'll answer your questions meanwhile. Okay, so what I really want to convey in this painting is the light, the way the light interacts with the landscape. Okay, so as you know, nothing can exist without light. Like, you have to have light, whether it's a day scene or a night scene. Light is what brings anything alive, right? So in this painting, I just want to briefly describe how interacts with the landscape. And this is a very soft light. It's very early or very late in the evening, so it's slightly more saturated than if it was during the daytime. So knowing this, you can use these information to convey the story. All right. So you're trying to convey, okay, this is the time of the day, and I want to bring in that calmness or that soothing effect where you enter the landscape around that time and you want to be there. You're inviting somebody into that scene at that moment, at that time of the day. All you have at your disposal is the light and the skills that you have, right? So so now we have to pick important elements in this scene. So knowing what the story is, now you have to pick and choose what elements you want to use to convey that idea, because we are not trying to use all the elements here, right? So you don't want to use every brick, every rock, and every uh, branch of those trees that's out here. You're just going to few elements and use that to convey everything that you want. All right. Okay. So firstly, let's remember to breathe, because I just talk without breathing sometimes. All right. Okay. So in my very first process, all I'm trying to see is where are all the shapes laid out. I'm not worried about the drawing. I'm not worried about anything else. I'm just trying to understand where all the shapes are laid out. So just a brief. So it's a brief sketch. It's a very abstract sketch. So some trees here. So it doesn't matter if I'm working on a 12 by 16 or a 2 feet by 3 feet canvas. My process is the same for all. So if anybody is interested in knowing if I tackle the subjects in this similar way, yes, I do. So, and knowing that the time of the day is slightly much in the evenings or in the mornings, you don't need that many colors in the foreground, okay? Because most of the colors are happening in the sky, so you don't need that much of uh, saturation in your foreground. Okay, so we have a bush there, and we have a guy there. Here you have some shadows coming in. So when you approach this way, and when you approach based on how the light interacts with the subject, then you're not that much concerned about each and every object, because you're just concerned about how light travels through anything. So that uh, negates the idea of whether it falls on a person or a still life or a landscape, because at that point everything is abstraction, right? So again, for my students within my academy, I always tell them that for any good representation work, you need to have a very strong abstract foundation. Abstraction is a part of like a good representational work. So the more abstract you are, the more you are able to convey quickly and much accurately. It's not the other way around. Okay, so again, for this, I'm just using a very dirty old brush, which I don't really use for the later steps in my painting. So it's a very calm approach at this point. We're not really concerned about any mistakes or anything that can occur which we cannot correct it after. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, so then I'm gonna have my water line. I don't want it very close to this center. I'll just probably bring it just below the line. And okay, let me first do that. Just want me do it here. Okay, let me do that line there. And I don't want this to end exactly here, so I'm going to slightly bring this guy up. Okay, there you go. That should be fine. Again, this is a very brief script, brief sketch. Okay, so then we have some mountains in the background. So we have some mountains in the background. So I'm just gonna okay, that's fine. All right. Okay. So that would be my initial sketch. Again, even if I'm doing it in plein air, do even more basic. But here I'm just trying to show you how little is enough to like actually have a very strong foundation for your sketch. This is just a very rough sketch. As you can see, I'm not concerned about details, I'm not about my drawing or anything. All I'm trying to find here is perspective between each object or each layers. So this is going to be my foreground, and I'm going to try to have this my water and the mountains behind as my background, and this one way back. So I'll be having three layers: one layer, two layer, and my third layer is the sky. Okay, so that's what I'll be trying to do. So this is, as I said, this is a very brief sketch. So now I'll be doing is again trying to develop this blocking further. Most of the work should be done at the end of your blocking. So the idea is, again, this is not a rule, but you're only as good as your blocking, because no matter what you do after your blocking, you're only trying to develop what's already there, right? So you have to really spend some time honing your blocking. So blockings are very, very important. Again, they're very basic, important. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to develop this entire sketch into like a well-formed blocking. So I'm going to start with the trees right here, and I like color, so I usually bring colors right from the start. I don't really wait uh, until the end, especially in the areas where my light is important. I bring colors very, very fast. Okay, so I'll first develop this trees right here because they're slightly on the darker side. So I'm going to start with that first, just for me to give me a head start on where everything else should proceed. All right, so you'll see how basic I'm going to do this right now. So everybody doing okay so far? Let me know if you have any questions. Uh, Make it slightly more warmer. just warmer. Okay, any questions? Okay, I see one question here. Your viewpoints on gesso and oil ground. Um, so again, it's not my opinion, but it's just a matter of how you want your surface to be. Usually, all the canvases are first gessoed. Oil ground makes it easier for the oil paints to stick on it. So usually, when I use my linen canvases, I think they are all on. They have an oil ground layer on it. Otherwise, I also use 3 to 4 layered, uh, 3 to 4 gesso layered canvas for my work, so that the oil seep in and lose all that intensity. So I like my paintings to have that quality of oils even after they are dried. So yeah, oil is a bit more expensive to get that canvas, but if you can find oil ground, I think Gamblin has its own oil ground, uh, like a uh, like they have a ground where you can actually apply to your canvas and just allow it to completely dry, and after that you can just proceed as a regular canvas. But again, yeah, it's just a matter of how you want your surface to be prepped. As long as long as your doesn't suck in all the oil, then it's much it's good, right? uh, as you'll be fighting your way for your oils to stick all the time. So that's why I sometimes hate doing it in cotton canvas. So I have another layer of gesso here, and I think they already had 2 more layers before. Uh, so I added another layer so that when I start to work on it, I don't have to worry about the oils getting sucked in. All right. So hope that helped. Let me know if that was your question. So if not, I'll try to rephrase my answer. So this shadow right here is slightly moved away from the light. So it's either getting light from these trees around here or from the sky, or is not getting any light at all. But I can see that image is not completely black in this area. So it's getting light from somewhere. So now it's your decision to know what you want to do, whether you want this to be having the light reflected back from the tree or from the sky, right? So based on that, it'll be slightly warmer or cooler. Okay, so I'm going to be doing slightly bit of cooler, assuming that it's coming from the sky, because all this is going to be warm here. So as I said, you get to decide. It's not the image or the landscape that you're trying. All is to help you achieve the important elements. And after, it's all up to you to decide how you want to use it, right? So they are just the helpers, they are just the guides, so they are not an end all, so they're just the guides. Okay, so okay, so I have this. I'm going to use the same color at the moment. I'm not going to bother about using a different color for this tree. Okay, so I have a question here from Susan. You told us to be sure to know what excites us about a painting idea and what we really want to convey. Can you tell us what's important to you about this reference? So, what I'm trying to, so I like the feeling of place brings when the light hits it. So I like the idea about the timing of the day. So and I also enjoy painting evening colors more because they're much more saturated out here than in the foreground. So as I finish painting, I want to bring out more colors in the sky, and I'll be having much more brushwork shown over here. So that's what I'm trying to uh, convey here. So I want to convey my sense of style in terms of how I lay my brushwork and also how the light affects this entire landscape, because this landscape changes every second, but there's only one moment that we are trying to convey, and that's the evening light. So I want to bring that quality of light and a quality of air in this scene, and whatever is out here are my helpers. So they are my guides, they are my helpers to convey that idea. I'm concerned about them, but they are helping me in a way to achieve that sense of depth and light and air. Um, so yeah, so that's what I'm that's what I'm hoping that this painting will bring about as I to work on this. Again, for some it might be just the way the uh, composed. For some it might be this tree over here, or for some might be the way the light hits the water. So you have to pick the place and the element that has interested you, and from that you can revolve everything around too, because I'll be revolving everything around my sky, and all these would be aiming towards that uh, element. So I know now that I have a direction and that I'm not going blind, that I'm not trying to complete everything and every element that's out here. So everything will be helping me towards conveying whatever I do here for the sky. Okay, so yeah, it's that. Okay, I'm gonna make it slightly more darker here, but before I do that, I just want to like make it a little softer here. Yeah, just be try to be free with your blocking. The more free you are, the more confident you become, because and it'll even show through. Like if you are not confident in your own work, it'll automatically show through in your work. So try to be free, try to be like very loose even from the very start, um, because that's what's going to help. Okay, all right. Okay, let me know if you guys have questions meanwhile. Okay, this one is a little bit darker, so I'm gonna use that to my advantage. So it's a little bit darker over here. Again, it's not a rule that you have to go from dark to light. I just uh, like if like in order for me to explain what I do, I'm just going in that flow. Otherwise, I usually go to it. Like I would have been already been there at the sky at the moment, but since I'm also showing it as a demo, I'm just going down step by step. Okay. All right. This is a bit dark over here, so that's why I'm spending a bit more time here. After that, I'll just be moving on. Okay. Okay, any other questions so far? Let me know. Okay, so I'm just gonna smoothen this out a bit so that it's not as distracting as ever. Since it's my darks, I'm not really worried about my brush strokes here. So just smoothen it out a bit. You don't need brush strokes everywhere. You just need it somewhere where it's important. Okay. I'd probably make this slightly more warmer in a bit, but it's fine. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is try to get my water in. Again, it's a different value, so just make sure you have a clean brush or just change your brush. So if you didn't had an idea as to where, like how you wanted to convey, then by now, like one of the two things would be happening. You would either be just trying to like draw out the image, like you would be drawing every object that's and the other thing is you would already be going into the details of everything. But this way you're not worried as much because all you're worried about is how everything flows at this moment. All right, so I'm just gonna draw the water out very quick, and then I'm gonna come back with, I think it's a little bit too warm for me, so I'm gonna cool it down a bit. Okay, anything do you find any complication or something that you feel is a little bit hard up to what I have done until now? Do you feel this is a bit hard to do, or is it that you are not able to do this part up to the way I've done here? So let me know. I just want to see what the thought process is as how you approach it and why you might feel that this is slightly harder for you to achieve. Um, don't worry much about the shapes. You can just blend it in on the corner. That's fine. All right. I sometimes get carried away with the waterline. So just be mindful. Just trying to get some skyline in so that I know where. Get the trees and other things later. That's fine. Okay. Okay. All right. So now, before I go to the sky, I'm just going to try to get light in here as well. Um, Before I do that, I just want to get some more of my darks. So, yes, rocks here. Okay, these are not my lights, but I just wanted to prepare just to be sure how it interacts with the landscape. Okay. So we have one rock here. I'm going to try to bring another one right here just to allow it to flow inwards and then come back here. You're not trying to manipulate your scene as much, but you are deciding what's important for you, right? Because if you don't decide, then whatever that it is, whatever it is that you are trying to convey is going to be taken for granted, and they might have misinterpreted what you wanted to show or convey in your work. So it's better to take it take it up for yourself to decide what it is and how you want to lead your viewers. So we have a bag of hay here. I'm gonna keep that. Flow gently here. Right. Come down here. Okay, so I have another question. So you're not concerned about brushstrokes yet. Does that come later? I mean, no. I mean, I am concerned about it even now. In fact, some of it might stay even now. So I mean, you have to be like aware about what you're putting, because everything. So in a way that you need to, if you never are able to approach your painting again, you should make sure that whatever you're doing is you're doing it with purpose. Like there shouldn't be a brushstroke what's there which didn't have a use, right? Otherwise, you're just doing it knowing what you're doing. So it's much better to, even if you have a random brushstrokes, just make sure that it's conveying something. So even if I don't come back over here ever again, I have enough brushwork here, which should be okay. And I mean, I can refine it even more, but I don't have to come back. So yeah, so I am concerned, but I'm not concerned about making a mistake. So that's, so it's slightly different because I always know I can come back and redo whatever I've done. but it's important that you make a stroke and know what it is for. I'm might be going a bit uh, quick on this, so it may feel that I'm not worried, but that's how I usually do my work. Like it's not a bit slow. I mean, I enjoy doing slow as well, but yeah. So do as quick or slow that you want, but just make sure that every brush stroke is what you're doing. Okay. All right. Okay. So I just have a ground here. So now I'm going to bring some color, since I know that I want to bring in more. I want to convey the light here. I'm just gonna a little bit more. I don't want it too saturated because that's going to be taken care by the sky. But this one. And in no step here we are blending anything. We don't do blending. If we have to change anything between the two tones, we either find a tone that's averaged between the two, or we just soften the edge. Okay, so we're not going to blend it. So that's what I always tell my students also, that we don't do blending. It's I'm not against it, but if you're not careful, you blend everything, and that's how paintings get muddy. And but once you are comfortable not blending, then you can blend. But if you're not comfortable with not blending, then it's really tricky. So so even though I can blend, I don't want to blend because I just want to show that even without blending, you can achieve the same result. In fact, it's much more appealing when you don't blend. Right, some light notes here. So everything flows, like light flows like water. Like if there is no obstruction, it just carries away, right? So just treat light like water, and it gets easier. I promise. It gets way easier when you treat it that way. So since all of this are in one plane, I don't want to get too much of value change here, because if I get too much of value change, then within this plane I'll start having back and forth, which I don't want to do. So without value change, you can go with temperature change. So you can just slightly subtly change the hues towards warm and cool to to play within the same boundary, right? So we're just trying to understand how everything works, and how you can change things in a very subtle way, the very drastic way, right? On here. Okay. Okay. Any other questions so far? So I just published a free course on brushwork techniques. You can check it out. I'll be probably emailing you as well. It's just like around 40 minutes. So you it and see how I use brushwork to really make an impact with your everyday paintings. Because I feel brushwork is very important in trying to convey your own style, which is completely unique to you. Okay, so I got this. All right, so is it looking okay so far? So just say yes or no. I wouldn't mind. No problem at all. Because at this point, even I'm not that concerned with error, because I can always go back and change. Again, it's not that hard to see how the form moves. Like if you notice, if you when you select the direction, so we have the light, then transition and dark, light transition dark, light transition dark, right? So everything follows that pattern. Um, so if you're able to, for example, completely hone in on understanding how light falls, say, on an orange, or how it falls on an apple or a pear. Like the same thing here, it's just that the shapes are a bit different because it's nothing much different that you're doing here. So sometimes here you're using a long stroke, sometimes you're using a short brush stroke. So just play with it until you feel it's enough to convey whatever it is in this portion that you want to convey. A bit much longer brushstroke here. I don't want too much drama here, so I'm going to keep that drama for the sky. So I'm just going to try to soften all the edges here. You can really do quite a lot in half hour if you're able to like not go into so much of details. So because should be very quick and okay, and it should just convey what's important. All right. Okay. It's looking okay for now. So I'm gonna worry much about it. All right. Okay. So everybody doing okay so far? Any other questions? Okay. So now I'm gonna go with the sky, and as I said, that's what I want to have most of my attention focused on. So I'll be doing that again. Though I have a pretty clean brush, I don't want to use it. Sky is something I don't want to mess with, and so I need to have a different brush for my sky. Um, so yeah, I like clean my palette. I don't know if you guys have any questions, anything that you want to share. Also, you can just talk about like what's something that's like blocking your uh, painting journey now. Is it something that you want to learn, something that it is that you're not able to figure out how to do? Because everything can be answered in a way in each and every painting, because they're not that the subjects matter, but it doesn't matter. Uh, you should be able to answer it to any and all. Okay, let's see if mine's a bit weird. Should be fine. Okay, let me know if my audio is not playing well. I can feel a bit of lag coming on my end, but I may be wrong. But let me know. Okay. All right. So let's go with this guy. So what I'm going to do here is I have my light here. So the direction. So I'm going to have a bit of warm over here, and as it goes, it's going to be slightly cooler. Okay. Okay. I think I'm having a bit of a lag. Just finding the video with. Please let me know. Okay. Yes. I know. I don't know what happened. Okay. Okay. Give me. Right. If this got Okay, looks like I'm back. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, is this better? Let me know. Okay, it seems a bit laggy, but I think it's much better than before. So please let me know if this is okay, and then I'll proceed. Um, all right, seems okay for now. Perfect. Okay, don't know what happened, but again, I can check about it later. Okay, let's finish the sky. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to block in the sky, and then go from there. So again, as I was saying, I'm going to have a bit of a warmth here, and as it goes, it's going to get cooler because the light is over here. Okay, so again, all I'm doing now is just blocking in basic colors, and then later I can worry about what I should change in them. So it's a bit warm towards the horizon, so I'm going to keep it that way. So you don't want to compete colors. So if you have something colorful in the background, don't ever compete it with it on the foreground. Then you're going to have issues with uh, plane change and all that stuff. So just keep your more saturated uh, elements in one plane. You can have different colors, but the intensity of it should go down. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to run into problems of having a good sense of depth as you proceed. Okay, all right. So as it goes up, it's going to get slightly cooler. So let me get some cool. I'm going to get my cerulean for that. So have a mixture of ultramarine and just a touch of cerulean for the top. Not much, but it should do. Okay. And sometimes I see students and artists like who are just beginning. They tend to leave a bit of a gap between uh, the one object and the other. It's completely okay. If you want to make it more homogeneous and more um, what do you say? I'm not able to get that word. Homogeneous? No, that's not the word. But in harmony. If you want everything in harmony, it's much better if you um have it's like have a soft edge, and in other areas when you're trying to develop it more, then you can try to get an hard edge wherever it's important, right? So try not to have too many gaps between each object, that's when your brain starts to go back into thinking in terms of uh, each and each object, but we don't want that, right? Okay. Again, here, just make a stroke and just leave it there. Make a stroke and leave it there. Don't try to blend one stroke with the other at the moment. Just make a stroke and leave it there. Okay. All right. So now I have the basic sky here, but I just want to get some of the brushstroke right away, just to show how much you can like actually do here, even in the blocking stage. Again, there is nothing I've done here which is like complicated. If it is, please let me know, so that I just want to make sure that I I'm able to convey what I'm saying, convey what I'm saying much more accurately. I might need a little bit of my yellow. Usually this strong color during the daylight would have been in the foreground, right? But because it's an evening light, it's much more prominent in the night in the sky. Some light going on there. And as it comes down, it has that glow of slight warmth. So I want to get that as well. Okay, so it looks like my videos seems to be working okay now. So I'm just going to continue ahead. Um, so I'm going to get a bit of more saturation as it goes towards the bottom. Fine. Again, as you see, I'm laying the paint. I'm not pushing the paint, I'm laying the paint. Hence, I'm able to lay it one on top of the other, even though I already have a very heavy paint under. When you're laying the paint, everything is much easier to transfer. Okay, let me know if you guys have any other questions. Okay, so I'm gonna work on the sky a bit more. It's a little less in my color in terms of what I've already done at the bottom. So I just want to get that blue in the sky. Okay, what just happened there? Okay, I don't know what just happened, but anyway. So now I can decide how much warmth I need to bring in these trees in few areas. So that's the reason I didn't add it from my early stage, because I didn't know how much uh, color I was going to use here. But now I know the color range. So now I can decide how lower than that I have to go on in these trees, right? Because these trees would be the only ones which would be getting some color besides besides the foreground there. So I want to use that to my advantage. Okay, and just to get a bit more. Okay, so now for here, I'm not going to use this brush because it's my sky brush. So for here now, what I'm going to do is just going to find some spots where some color of the branches should show up, and after that I'm going to call it. So as you see, it's not that hard to get the blocking done without using too much um, like time. You can make it really soft on the edges as well. It's an evening, right? So you can try to get that feeling of uh, quiet by working with your edges, because the light is very low, and so the brain doesn't really show that much information as to what's happening on the edges. So you can convey that by having a soft edge, because if it was a daylight scene, like your brain always tries to see everything sharper, right? So that's why even in the most reference photos, everything looks sharp, even though it's not. But it's, so if you know that, like if you're able to understand that, then you can use it to your advantage and try to soften it where it's not really that important. So now I know that I need to make this one slightly more darker to bring this more forward. So I'm going to be making that later, not now. This is just a block-in, so I don't want to spend too much time on the block-in process. Again, make it very simple. You don't want to use too much information right here. Yeah, I would like to know like what is the like the harder or the hardest part of this would have been for you. Uh, yeah, just drop it in the comments so that I can understand your thought process and where you are coming from and why it may have been harder for you. Um, yeah, so just let me know. It's just a good thing for me to also understand as to how I can approach it differently as well. Um, okay, I think probably I'll call it here. Okay, and just so as you see, everything is an abstraction. So you have to have some kind of like even a small amount of uh, like definition. Like for example, if you put in a stem or a branch or anything, those are much more in quote unquote linear. So any linearity brings much more stability in abstraction. So even if you put in few details, like say of the branches or anything, it really brings about certain quality of depth and stability in your abstraction. And of course, this is not final, so I'll be working on it later. But it just helps to show how far, like how much you can do even with a small amount of detail without it being overly detailed. Yeah, I might not even keep it in the end, but it at least you have something to work with. And usually these are the places you have those nice highlights. So I'm just going to put in a few. Again, try to make it simple for you, right? So you're not doing this for anybody else. You're trying to convey what's in your mind, and you want to approach it and share it to the viewer, right? So use what you know, and don't try to, like, for example, make it complicated for yourself, because painting doesn't have to be that complicated, because it's something that you already know. It's just that you need to bring your ideas also together with your skills, right? Take your time. Do anyway, something like that, and then I can worry about working more on this in the later. So this is one part I didn't work on. So if you give me a few minutes. Okay, this demo showed me alternate to home blending. Excited to try and try something to improve. You said either pick a neutral color in between two shades or just soften edges. Yes. So if you're trying to just soften the edge, you can just use a dry brush. Don't have any paint on it. So just have a dry brush and just go over uh, between those two strokes. And yeah, or just pick an average color of both, right? So yeah. Okay, so just this part over here, I just want to get that done and move on. Okay, so just over an hour, I know. So I might be completing this tomorrow. So around the same time, mostly. So I'll let you guys know. Okay, I'm just gonna put this out here and worry about it later. All right. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to leave it at this. So this is my block-in, as I would call it. Again, there's nothing fancy. It's a very simple block-in. Like, if even if you go back and see this at the very starting, like, we just started off with a very brief outline of where everything is, and just went on with the colors and shapes and values. So this should give you an idea as to how you can simplify most of the things that you see. And by now, as I was saying earlier, my idea was to just get that beautiful sky to show through, and with the help of that, how it affects the entire landscape, right? So, and that should, like, if that's your intent, so that should be your guiding or the light to for your entire painting process. Take your time, because even now, if I completely remove my reference image, I don't really have to, like, all information is already here. So you are using the painting to guide you how it should proceed. Okay, your reference is not going to guide you. It's your idea as to what your story was and what your vision was. and what you have already done here is going to guide you further along the process. So even if you throw away your reference, or if you were painting plein air and you're not able to go there the next day, you already have all the information that you need. So you can either eliminate and or add on to what's already here. So the painting itself should guide you what you have to do. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. So if you have any questions, I had already sent you an email, so you can ask me there, and I'll be happy to help you with whatever questions that you may have. Um, yeah, and again, so check out my free lesson on brushwork techniques. I can also email you the link. And if you're interested to get your own skills up and try to get your idea and story out in the world, let me know. I'll be happy to help you within my academy. We have great group of students, including Susan, who's here. Yeah, all right. Thank you so much. I wish you all a happy Sunday and happy painting. Okay, bye bye.